When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there, good morning everybody, and welcome to another episode of Join Up Dots. Yes, we're moving into the 900s now. Can't believe that we're banging them out as quickly as we are. But thank you so many people who have left ratings, reviews, and just dropped nice words towards us. It's always good to receive. And it's always good to have a guest like this on the show today, because she is somebody who literally we can go off in any direction with. She's a lady with a 3-decade tale of hustle and persistence, and she still looks 19, so it must have been good for her. Now, she's a 25-year-old veteran in branding, not a 25-year-old. She's got a 25-year veteran in branding, media marketing, promotion and production in the entertainment industry, and has a proven track record of creating and executing innovative branding and marketing initiatives that build her clients' businesses. In 1996, she launched Krupp Communications K2 from her studio apartment in New Jersey, and 16 years later, she's the CEO and founder of a New York City-based award-winning public relations marketing and branding agency. As she says, our clients typically share their wish for deeper engagement with their targets and need to launch their newest ideas or something along those lines. But once we dig deeper, they realise that what they really want is to motivate, inspire, persuade, inform and entertain, all so they can sell more to people more often. We identify the difference that makes the difference and turn up the volume, grabbing the ear of the media, sharing your message through the noise to reach the masses. Here's how it's done. Now, she's built K2 into an industry leader with a proven track record of creating and executing innovative branding and marketing initiatives, as we say, and this has established success as K2 has placed over 65 books on the New York Times bestseller list. So back in 1996, we had basic internet and connectivity. So how did she manage to create her business as it was so very different than today? And is there anything that she would do differently that could have made a difference to where she's found herself? Well, let's find out as we bring onto the show to start joining up dots with the one and only Heidi Krupp. Good morning, Heidi. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I don't know what to do after that introduction.
I was rocking and rolling on that. I even said you were 25 years old, which maybe...
I was very happy about that because you gave me half of my real age. I actually just turned 51 proudly. 50 is the new 30, so I'm happy to talk about it.
Congratulations to you hitting the half century. So let's talk about that, because it's not often that a lady actually tells me her age. Do you feel better now than you did when you was 25? Do your knees ache? Or what's the difference between you now and the younger version?
Well, I think there's so much wisdom and experience in life. I mean, I'm a later in life mom. So I have a 6.5-year-old. So he keeps me extremely young and energetic. And I think I would never have been able to be the kind of mom that I am today at 25. So I'm very, very proud of that, proud of the life lessons. And even in reflecting back on the agency, so many great things that we've learned along the way.
I turned 50 in 2 years' time, and I can't believe it, Heidi. I can't believe it. I don't know where the last 25 years have gone, really.
I know. But you know what? That's why it's so important to kind of just do a whole gratitude and reflection of all of what you've done and where you've been, and just be very grateful for what's gotten you to where you are today. It's all about joining up the dots. I'm about connecting the dots and you're joining the dots. So I love that.
It would have been about connecting the dots at the beginning, but somebody else had that URL, so it became Join Up Dots. But it kind of works in its own way. So let's talk about yourself and your business. Now, we've already mentioned what it is all about in the introduction, but yourself, now you've got the success. I'm going to start on the personal side of it. What inspires you on a daily basis to get out of bed? Because could you quite happily lay in bed every day? Forget you've got a 6.5-year-old that's going to drag you out. Could you just lay there and the business operate without you?
Here's what's wonderful. The business can operate without me in a lot of ways, and I'm very proud to say that. I couldn't always say that before. I mean, I just got back from a 2-week vacation with my husband, who's also in the business with me, and we vacationed. So what's wonderful is as you build a team and you build structures and an infrastructure and create accountability and responsibility amongst the people that work for you, that helps. I mean, when it was just me in my studio apartment when I first started, clearly I could never take a vacation. And even then, it was hard to let go. So I think, I what gets me up in the morning though is knowing that the clients and the people and the companies and the missions of these people, like, that we're responsible for, they're looking to us to be the catalysts to share that with the world. And I take that very personally.
Now, obviously, it's a different business now than when you started because the environment, the technology is totally different. But are there sort of core similarities which allows you to flourish now as in back in 1996?
It's all about relationships. I think, our energy and our relationships with people trust us. And I think building rapport and having relationships is so key. The media knows that I'm not going to give them something that's not true. I'm going to ensure that, I'm giving them the best piece of content. I think, we all talk about content now as though it's new, but for me, I was a former producer at 2020, so I was creating content as a producer, as a like-minded person. And now, even when I started the business, we were story creating content, story, concepts, and ideas for press. That's still happening even more now. So, I think that it's really the relationships that you give and understanding that not only your clients, obviously, and their vision and their mission are important, but you also have to ensure that whatever you're giving to the press is great too, because you need to utilize them as the platform over and over again, and they have to trust and respect you and know that you're going to be true to whatever it is that you're going to share to them.
Yeah, but Heidi, nowadays it's all fake news, isn't it? Everything that's out there, your leader can just say it's fake, and it's all wiped away.
That's not true. Here's the truth. I am a news person. I worked at ABC News. I still believe in news. I still believe in news organizations. I don't think that things are fake. I think that, our president would like everyone to think that, for various other reasons. But, look, are there hidden agendas? Yes. Is it a little bit looser now than it used to be? Yeah, because there's so many more channels and content and media. But I'm still a firm believer in truth and in news and in news organizations doing the right thing and being fair and balanced and sharing the same pieces. I think there are some networks out there that just aren't fair and balanced and that look to skew and to create those conversations. And they're meaningful platforms for various people too. And we book various clients of ours on those platforms. I'm not judging them. I do not believe and will never believe that all news is fake news. That's just not true.
It's madness that he says that, I reckon, but it's kind of genius as well, isn't it? That he can just basically, whatever comes his way, he goes fake, and half the population are going to believe it. This is a very big job with very big shoes to fill. And I guess until you're in it, no one knows how big it is, right? So I think that when you're in the job that you're in before, where you could, even be on Celebrity Apprentice and fire people and, do all those various things, I think that can happen. I don't envy the president of the United States and the role that he has. And I don't really like to talk politics. I don't really want to get into that part of it. I mean, all I could say is, I think it's in his interest to deflect. That's what's protecting him. I think it's clear that he absolutely, with all of the signs, he does not want anyone to criticize him. He wants to be liked. He wants to be beloved. He wants to be supported. And so when he's not, I think it's upsetting, just like to anybody who wants to be picked on day in, day out. I just think that, he who throws, in a glass house, you don't want to throw stones. So I just, I think that is what it is. And I think we should move on from the topic. We're not going to fix it today. I will never move on from a topic, Heidi. This is my show. It's my show, and I'm in control of this. So what you said, which was quite interesting on there, was that nobody likes to be picked on. But nowadays, we're all putting our head above the parapet and we're blasting out things on Facebook Live, and we're out there more than ever. Are we just opening ourselves to people, you know, slagging us off and saying nasty things?
Well, yeah. So I think that if you can't handle it, get out of the kitchen. You can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. You don't have to do social media and be out there so much. You can focus on other things like running the country. I mean, I think it's really important that, you know, those people that don't like, you know, to be cast. I mean, here's the thing. Cyberbullying, bullying in schools, all of these things aren't great things. I mean, they're just horrible across the board. Nobody invites it or asks for it. We have a freedom of speech and a freedom of will, and we all should be able to speak towards that. So I just think at the end of the day, you know, I take great pride in feeling like I'm always kind to all of those that I encounter with, and I try to be very, very true to myself and to others. And I would never want anyone to walk away from a conversation or exchange or in anything with me feeling less than or feeling, you know, demoralized or defeated or anything of that nature, because I don't want to feel that way. So I was brought up, you know, you teach people how you want to be treated. I mean, that really is what it is. It's like like my mentor and friend, Tony Robbins, says, you know, what you focus on, you become. I focus on being a good person. So I hope and expect that other people will do the same, but I know that doesn't always work that way. But I immediately shift past that. You know, you are who you surround yourself with. So, you know, I just choose to surround myself with great people in that regard. And I trust the media and the relationships I have with them. And I trust the clients that we work with and their messages. And, you know, all of that works well for us in a great way.
So is Tony Robbins one of your personal friends then?
Yes, I've been his publicist for over 2 decades, actually.
So what do you bring to the table for Tony Robbins? Because he's got such a big profile, you know, it's almost impossible to not know him. He's to that point now that I always almost say, does he need publicity?
No, he actually really doesn't right now, I would say. I think here's the wonderful part about Tony Robbins. He's the real deal. I mean, I met him through my mentor, who's a literary agent, who's been his agent for over 3 decades. And she introduced me, and I went to my first seminar 21 years ago and was learning about him. And I was like, I remember it was like 1,500 people, maybe 2,000 actually at the UPW. And now I was just at the event last week, and I was so proud of him. There were 14,000 people there. I mean, that was amazing. You know, I mean, I literally walked in and was speechless and cried because I was just so overwhelmed by how incredible it is that he could share his gifts with so many people and all the grace that was in that room. I mean, it was just amazing. But, you know, so when I first met with him, I mean, PR was never a real priority for him. I mean, because, I mean, he had done it so well and so great when he first launched. And, you know, then obviously, I mean, listen, here's the truth. PR is something that you utilize when you have a product or a message that you want to share. So, you know, with Tony, I was very fortunate to be able to have great relationships and connections with a lot of people in national television, including Oprah and the Oprah Winfrey Show, and subsequently the people at OWN. So I feel very good about the fact that we were able to, you know, convince her to attend one of his seminars. And, you know, she wasn't going to be there for the whole time. She kept saying she'll be there for 2 hours, and she stayed for 10 to 12 hours. And ultimately, it was pretty cool to be there and witness and be part of all of that and watch her walk across fire and have her own breakthrough through the work of this person who I just, you know, love like a brother so much. So it was terrific.
So when you're building your own business, having a client like Tony Robbins, obviously you met him sort of 20 years ago when he was sort of a different beast to what he is now. But does it really open doors for you? Does it boost your own personality within your business by having sort of celebrity guests?
I've never utilized Tony's name and likeness or taken for granted our relationship or traded in on that relationship in any way at all. I've always very much valued the relationship, and I still do. And it's a very sacred relationship for us, and I'm extremely grateful for every and all things. Because it's personal, I can share with you. I met my husband through Tony's work, because my husband at the time was at a seminar of Tony's at his resort in Fiji at Namali, and a very dear friend of mine that works for Tony and has worked with him for over almost 26 years. She was there, thought the man that's now my husband was good looking, talked to him, and then Mrs. Robbins, Sage Robbins, Tony's wife, met him too. And here I am 10 years later. We were married actually at Namali at Tony's resort, with Tony and his wife being the witnesses of our wedding. So just to give you a sense of the relationship. So I never take that for granted. I'm totally appreciative and supportive of it. And for sure, he says incredibly nice things about me, as I do about him. But I have other things that I do in my business that don't have anything to do with him. And he has all these other businesses that he does that have nothing to do with me. But, we love each other immensely, which is a wonderful thing.
It is. And we will move off the Tony Robbins, because this isn't about Tony Robbins, it's about you.
No.
Yeah, we don't want to speak about him. He's famous enough. He's got his own publicity. Now, with your sort of publicity company, when did it start to take off then? Because I'm sitting here now and I'm thinking, I can't imagine how you start this. How do you get the word out? How do people trust somebody in a apartment in Jersey that what she's doing is worthwhile listening to?
Well, that's a good question. I sometimes ask it myself. But here's what happened when I was working at ABC News 2020, and I was working with Barbara Walters and the team there in the publicity department, and a woman by the name of Jan Miller, who's a literary agent, very famous literary agent. She's Tony's agent. She's Joel Osteen's agent, Maria Shriver, to name a few. She just did the Trayvon Martin book. I mean, she's pretty special. When you look up mentor, her picture should be right there next to it. I mean, I'm very lucky. She's my fairy god mentor. But what happened was I was working in 2020, loving what I did as a publicist, not really sure I wanted to be a producer. And a friend of mine was getting married in Florida, and my friends and all of us were in Florida at her wedding. And I was telling them that I'd met this amazing woman, and she told me that I should start my own business, that all I needed was $5,000 cash to do it. And I was like, well, that's easy for her to say, with her big diamond rings and her Dallas big everything, because that's where she was living at the time. I was like, well, my dad drives a cab and my mother works in a clothing store. I mean, my father is going to be 85 and still actually drives his taxi because he loves it, And so I was like, I don't know where I'm going to get $5,000 cash to start a business. And my grandmother had passed away, and I had inherited some money from her, and I bought a Toyota Celica convertible with the money. And so after that trip with all of my friends, I came back to Hoboken, where I lived at the time, and I was still working at 2020. And I walked into this clothing store, and this gal says to me, I love, 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 love your car. I said, oh, it's a Toyota Celica convertible. It was like 1989. Now I'm really dating myself. And she says, well, I love it. I'd love to buy it. So Jan had told me that I needed $5,000 cash to start a business, because that's what she used when she started her business. And so I said to the girl, it's $5,000 cash. She said, let me get back to you. The next day, she gave me the $5,000. I put it under my mattress. I called Jan. I said, I've sold my car. Now what? And she said, let me call you back. It felt like weeks, but it was like a couple hours. She called me back. And she came to New York, and I sat with her, and she wrote down on a napkin, like a couple people that she'd want me to meet with, that I could do PR for. And she told me what to charge. I mean, I didn't know what to charge or do. And she said, you're on your own, but I'll introduce you to people. I'll introduce you to people in publishing. I'll introduce you to my authors. And so here it was. And, Tony was obviously one of the people on that list. So I was very fortunate. I mean, Jake Seinfeld, Body by Jake was someone she introduced me to, and she introduced me to parenting experts, Linda and Richard Eyre, who wrote a famous book talking to your kids about sex and teaching children values. And she introduced me to Susan Powter, like back in the day. So all of the people in the self-help, inspirational happiness movement were things that Jan worked on a lot. And then from there, I just started to show my way because I hadn't worked in books. I hadn't even ever worked in publishing. And suddenly I was making bestsellers. I mean, Christina Ferrari, who's a very good friend and I love madly, was my very first bestseller. I mean, that was really exciting. And then we launched David Bach. He wrote a book, Smart Women Finish Rich. So now, 20 years later, we have about 95 bestsellers. More than half of them have been number one. And, I never even have worked in publishing. And so in 2000 and I'd say, well, maybe it was in 1996 is when I started. So probably like in 2000 or so, 2003, I got a project that was sent to us that was a diet book, and I read it, and it had nothing to do with Jan. Everything came to us as referrals, and I read the book, and I'm looking through it, and I'm wondering, oh my gosh, like this really makes a lot of sense. Like it's low carb, good fats. Wow, this really makes sense. So I went ahead and we were going to do the book, and the book was called The South Beach Diet, and we launched it. So we launched the South Beach Diet, and I would say that absolutely changed the trajectory of our business from me being a publicist as a hobby to realizing that I was a strategist, because that was a phenomenon in publishing. Over 25 million copies were sold, and so many publishers and individuals were trying to figure out how to do this book as brand concept after that. So that was really exciting. That was really great. And that's when I think we turned this independent, skilled practice into an organization.
Let's play some words, and then I'm going to delve back into this. But these are words from Oprah.
The way through the challenge is to get still and ask yourself, what is the next right move? Not think about, I got all of this stuff. What is the next right move? And then from that space, make the next right move and the next right move. And not to be overwhelmed by it, because your life is bigger than that one moment. You're not defined by what somebody says is a failure for you, because failure is just there to point you in a different direction.
Now, there were so many things that you was talking about, and I'm going to go back to the story of the car. Now, to me, that seemed like the classic law of attraction story. You think, I need $5,000. How do I get $5,000? Somebody just comes out of the woodwork and offers you it for the car. When you look back on that, do you think, wow, that was a bit weird or freaky? Or are they the kind of things that happen generally in your life?
Those things happen to me a lot. I don't really believe in the law of attraction so much. I do believe that if you have goals and you have outcomes and you have intentions and you have appreciation and gratitude, and you set those things out there with good energy into the world, you'd be suddenly surprised how more and more often those things come to fruition. We were in a meeting yesterday with a client of ours. It was so exciting. It's a new documentary. It's called Heal, and it's amazing. It's about the possibilities of the medical community and how healers and different modalities can really help people versus just the Western medicine. And so we're in the meeting, and she has a big producer that's going to be taking this to a theatrical world, which is amazing. And we're chatting about stuff. And he says, my wife has written books. She was asked specifically to write a book for Miss Winfrey. So I said, hold on, I'll be right back. And I go into my office and I get my signed copy from Miss Winfrey of the voice that you just played of the Oprah Winfrey Show. It was her, 25 years, her reflections of her 25 years. And here's a very personal story. So when I started the business and my first employee that I had here, I was walking by a pet shop and I saw this adorable little Yorkie in the window. I loved him so much immediately, but I called the employee, because she was my only employee, and said, listen, I got to make sure you're not allergic to pets, because I'm going to buy this dog. I'm going to buy this dog. And I've had this dog for almost 17 years. He just passed away a month ago, sadly. It was very, very, it's still It still hits a very close nerve to me. So I walk this book into this room. I show this producer the book. We open the book, and I used to make these holiday cards with my dog in front of pictures, because he was a beautiful Yorkie. He was a gorgeous Yorkie. And I opened the book, and there he comes. There the cards come out. There were like 4 cards in the book. I mean, it was like, and I believe that was there for a reason. I haven't even picked up that book. I haven't even looked at that book. That book's probably sat on my coffee table for, 10 years that I've been in this office, So it was just a very comforting moment in a context of, I felt like the dog was there to be like, this is going to be a very meaningful project for you and for everybody. It was great. I mean, but those things, if you look for them, you will see them if you're awake. I think sometimes just a lot of people just aren't awake, and they're not, and they're fearful of success. I mean, everyone's afraid of success and afraid of failure. It's just how you fuel those pieces of your life to make your life better.
That is interesting, though, because I've, in a very small way, at the moment, we're growing Join Up Dots, this podcast, and we want to take it to the absolute top. But on certain points, I'm absolutely open with my listeners that it's become successful, and I was scared of it. I was scared, even though I was working towards something. Once it went to that next level, it was, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I can keep this going. Is this as good as it gets? It's a real weird thing, isn't it? This human sort of psyche, why we work towards something, but once we get close to it, we're a little bit scared that we're going to achieve it.
No, but that's great. Here's what's wonderful about that. You're about to have a big breakthrough. You're about to learn something about yourself that you've been denying or that you haven't seen. I mean, the last 2.5 years for me have definitely been, a challenging time. A lot of loss, a lot of change, a lot of just retooling various parts of the business, me looking at myself, looking at clients, looking at the business, what matters, where my focus can be and do. And now on the other side of that, I could say I am so grateful for that experience. I mean, certainly I wish that some things wouldn't have happened the way that they did, but I'm glad that they did, because I wouldn't be where I am today. Growing, inspired, learning, and creating this elevated living lifestyle for myself and for my clients and for a channel. I mean, we represent like the #1 health site, Healthline. And here's what I'd say to you, I wouldn't get scared. I get scared sometimes too. I think those people that say that they don't are just not telling the truth. Everybody has a moment. I think you got to keep it real. And I think you got to just remember where you came from. And you got to always, we did a book a long time ago. I highly recommend you should read. He's a wonderful human being. In fact, I should reconnect with him myself. His name is Marshall Goldsmith. He wrote a book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I think that's very true. I think when you stop growing, you're dead. So you got to keep growing. You got to keep building. You got to keep going.
Well, this is what I was going to say, because at the very beginning, when you're doing it all on your own, it is hard work. It's, you really don't know which way is right. You're using your money wisely, and then you look back on it and you think, wasted a bit of that. That did nothing good at all. When you start building a team around you, does it bring its own issues, or does it make it easier?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the people part of the business is always a tough spot, because everybody has their own emotions. Everybody always has their own feelings. Everybody always has something that, that they feel or that's about them that you have to just be able to learn how to navigate. I think that that's actually very, very normal, right? So I think you just have to have some compassion and sensitivity, and you have to also understand the outcomes of the job. That's just with the staff and the people, because you want people to be here that are inspired, that you're leading, that are excited, that are accountable and responsible. And you want them to feel that they're a part of something greater. Right now, even though the agency is 21 years, we're reinventing ourselves in some various ways I'm super excited about. And when I'm ready, I'll certainly come back to you and want to share that with you. But, we're letting our team help us figure out what's next, because I don't want it to just be about me. Even though it's Krupp Communications, the truth is the organization is K2. It's highest mountain. It's the fastest ski. I mean, that's how it was started in the beginning, and that is what really it is. It's not Heidi Krupp Communications. I've never wanted it to be about myself because I've just always wanted it to be about my clients and the work. I mean, so, but the people part of the business, you have to give them things that inspire and help them, give them, we give all of our people that work for us an allowance to go and figure out something that they're really passionate about so that they could go and learn about it, whether it be social media or digital media or whatever it is that they would want, anything that they would want to grow and learn from.
Now, if I was working for you, Heidi, if I was working for you, being your own in-house podcaster and maybe plaything, I'd allow you to gently stroke my hair whenever you want. What could I bring to your business that would allow it to flourish?
From you, if you were to come in?
Yeah, for me. What could I bring to the table for your company?
I could tell you right now, I think that you are a great storyteller. You care passionately about people and stories and sharing information. I think we could actually utilize you as a funnel to help you and others share stories. So all of our clients, we would hopefully try to work with you to give you information, and content to introduce those people. But I also would look at you and ask you, who cares? So what? Why you? How do we build you bigger? What's the vision for the podcast? Where do we want it to go? What media have you done about it? What are you doing regionally? How are you finding people that you could interview? What are your wish and goals for that? How are you making money on the podcast? Who are your advertisers? Like, those would be the kinds of things that I would, ask of you, because I'd want you to come with your own business plan and strategy for what's going to fill you up and what's going to make you feel good about what you do every day. Because I think that's really important. You want to be excited to come to work. I do, and I want everybody.
Well, you've excited me. You've excited me. You've now hired me. I don't even care what money it is. It's going to be a long commute. I'll have to leave early in the morning to get there, but I'm doing it, Heidi. I'm doing it. I'm on the way.
Listen, but you could do it virtually. I mean, we could figure out a way. See, I'm not kidding. Let's set up the deal right here. We could seriously, I'd love to talk to you about what are your goals and aspirations and what are the things that you want to do. And here's what's also lovely, John. There are people that I have access to. So like we're about to launch, we just sold a book. We haven't announced it yet, but it's this wonderful woman who's teaching people about execution. Because a lot of people can have not shooting, but like executing ideas. So there's a lot of people that have creative ideas that can run businesses but don't know how to execute. So she's teaching that because that's what her skill set is. So I think, I could form together a lot of these amazing people that can help people with their business, but also help people with their life. So that's what makes me really excited, because right now our lives and our businesses are so intertwined. And people are really looking for the highest level of elevation of living. It's not just about health and wellness. It's not just about meditation and mindfulness. It's not just about personal development. It's about what's the highest level of living we can have. And I call that elevated living. And that's what I'm really excited about building for the world. That's going to be my legacy project.
Did you know, you're an interesting lady, because before you came on the show, I did my research on you, and I didn't get the feeling that at your heart, you're a connector. You love connecting people, you love connecting stories, you love connecting hearts, and that comes out big time. The very first thing that you said on this show was it's all about relationships and building rapport, and you've got that in spades, haven't you? It's not just the online world, it's the offline world as well.
Oh, thank you. Listen, I'm still a work in process on how to do that digitally, because I've been, I was in a meeting yesterday with an incredible business and a gentleman that's built an amazing company. I'll tell you, the company is called Charity Water. And I was so humbled by his success and what he's done. And I left the meeting and I was with this incredible advocate that we brought into our business, who's been a consultant. At the end of the meeting, he takes me downstairs. We're in the elevator and he says to me, listen, you were invited to this meeting because of all the success that you've had. You don't need to sell yourself. And I said, oh, that's so funny. Did you think I sold myself? He said, yeah, like you're Heidi Krupp. Look what all you've done. And I think like I part of the charm, I guess, is that I don't take myself and all of what I've done so seriously that I've become like a narcissist or let it get to my head. I think I've been in fact, I think if anything, I've pushed things off of me. And I think his point was you should celebrate your wins and successes. You should own your power of what you've done. So I think that that's kind of my that's Heidi Krupp 2.0. That's to come.
But does that really connect you with the young Heidi, the young girl walking around? Were you a kind of driven but slightly insecure kind of girl?
So here's what connects me with the young Heidi. This Heidi now has put her arm around the young Heidi and has told her, you're enough, you're loved, you're lucky. It's okay to have success and have all of this. This is what you were born to do. You are here to make a difference and an impact. Go do it. And I think that little girl, I'm from Pittsburgh, life wasn't handed to me on a silver spoon, but I'm so appreciative and I'm so lucky. Both my parents, thank God, still with me here today, and I wouldn't be who I am without them. And I think that when I think back and all my friends, I'm so grateful. Like, here I am, 51 years old. Some of my best friends in the world are still my friends that I grew up with. And they keep me grounded and they laugh at me and they put me in perspective and say, oh, that's so good. Oh, haha, you went to Oprah's house in Santa Barbara. Just remember 4242 Minnesota Street. And we laugh, they keep me grounded, And I'm so glad for that, because I think at the end of the day, you have to remember where you came from. You have to be grateful for it. You can't have any resentment or anything about it. It's the kind of thing that like helps build you to where you are today. I mean, thank God for all of it. Thank God I didn't have everything in the world or handed to me with a silver spoon. I probably wouldn't have been as hungry or as driven and tenacious and yearning to connect to the world. So what I'd say to that little girl is, we're connected. Like, you're connected now. We're all connected. You don't have to just keep connecting with the world to be connected with yourself. So, I mean, now I feel very connected to myself. I feel very connected to the world. I feel very connected to everyone. And I'm so grateful. And I'm glad, and I'm grateful to you to give me this opportunity to start to talk about these things, because I've never really had conversations about me and my journey. It's always been about my clients and their journey. And if my journey can help inspire and shape someone else the same way Jan Miller opened up my eyes and my heart and helped me be where I am today, I would love to do that for others. That's really what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Ah, good on you. Good on you. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to start right now by playing the words of Steve Jobs. We listen to this every single day. We're going to hear it again. Steve Jobs.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college. But it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
Now, Steve Jobs says about following your heart, and we've already mentioned that you seem to be one big heart walking along. Is that how you make decisions? Is it sort of gut intuition, or do you have a blueprint right from the very word go?
I think I always lead with my heart. I think it's a blessing, and it sometimes certainly has hurt me tremendously, but I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I think that, that's just who I am. And I do think that I'm more careful now and guarded. I definitely do have, I have my husband in the business with me. I have, an employee that's been with me for almost 20 years, Jen Garbowski. And they're like my litmus test of the bullshitter or the person that might take advantage of us or me, and my willing to give so much so that I don't do that, where that would not be a mutual win-win relationship and something that would actually add the most meaning in the world. So, again, I still have my mentor, Jan Miller. I can pick up the phone and call her at any given second. And she's always so wonderful with she's so direct and clear about what's true and what's not. And, so I think I always lead with my heart. I'm never not going to. I have massive amounts of passion. But I think that after all these successes, I now know that there is a blueprint, there is a strategy, there is a process, there is a plan, there is a way. So it's not just like airy-fairy trying to just make something happen. We've done it over and over again for so many other people. And I want to continue to be able to do that for others.
Now, when you listen to those words that Steve Jobs was saying about you can only look back and connect your dots, we ask this question literally every single day to our guests. But is there a big dot in your life when you look back and you go, God, yeah, without that, I just wouldn't be where I am today?
Yes, I was adopted. So I was adopted at probably 6 weeks old. And before I met Tony Robbins and through my life in growing up and before that first seminar 21 years ago, I had a whole heck of a lot of a story about that, that even though I was brought up by my parents that I love so much, that raised me and I consider them my parents, that I, felt like I didn't really know that was the feeling, but I felt like, I wasn't wanted. I was given up, but, people could leave me. I mean, there was all kinds of things around it. When you're younger, you can't really kind of figure out what those things are. And now, when I think back at that, I'm so grateful for it because I've adopted my own life, and I'm so grateful for my parents. And I think back at, oh my God, thank God this person didn't abort me because then I wouldn't even be here. There's so many different ways that you could tell a story to yourself or to the world. And how we identify ourselves in our life is how we live our life. And you can change that in a heartbeat, in any second of any moment, of any day, of any time. And I'd say that that's probably one of the greatest gifts that I was given in my very first seminar 21 years ago from Tony Robbins. That was pretty extraordinary.
I worry about you, Heidi, just from this conversation. I worry that you're allowing yourself, or there's an opportunity to hurt you at every turn.
You don't have to worry about me. Here's the good news. I'm protected by hurt. I live in clarity, and I'm just all heart and all love. And so, but believe me, I have a badass, smart, strong, great husband and a partner that won't allow that to happen to me anymore. Which is great. I met him for a reason. He's in my life for a reason, so that I could still be who I am. I don't get hurt. I honestly don't get hurt anymore because I believe in what I believe in, and I love what I love, and I give what I give, and I feel good about it, and I'm whole with it. I mean, the grace of God is going to point us in whatever direction we're going to be in anyway. And so I think, look, we've had a lot of successes. We've made a lot of people a lot of money. We've built a lot of people. Sometimes when that happens, they forget that you did that and then they move on. And that can be hurtful. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful that I know that I did that. So it doesn't matter. And then when that happens, then you get another great opportunity. Then we launched the South Beach diet, and then they started working with Kraft. We got Weight Watchers as a client. That was pretty amazing. So the minute you think that something's not great, some great thing comes. So I think in all the hurts, you get humbled by hope and possibility. And I'm, honestly, I'm very, very grounded and set in what matters and what works. And I'm eternally grateful for all of it.
So I don't have to come across, wrap my arms around you and protect you. Is that what you're saying, Heidi?
Well, hey, if you want to do that, that's good. But guess what I learned how to do? I learned how to do that for myself. So I think when you asked that Steve Jobs piece from the past, I don't think I felt that as a little kid. But that's been the best driver for my success. That driver has driven me to just never give up, always feel connected, feel that I'm enough, know that I'm enough, look myself in the mirror, believe in what I'm doing. Take these great messages and these great people from the world and share those messages and feel really good about being a catalyst to improve the world. I'm humbled, honored, grateful, blessed, and truly every day is a great new adventure. And I'm not blind. Like, I know that there'll still be other people that'll come my way that I might miss, that try to, take advantage or hear whatever. And guess what? That'll be yet another lesson that I'll learn from. And when we stop learning, stop growing, we're usually underground.
Well, I don't want this show to end. We could go for another 4 hours, I believe, but we're going to have to bring it to an end. And this is the part that we call the sermon on the mic, when we send you back in time to have a one-on-one with your younger self. And if you could go back in time and speak to the young Heidi, what age would you choose and what advice would you give? Well, we're going to find out, because I'm going to play the music, and when it fades, you're up. This is the sermon on the mic.
With the best bit of the show, the sermon on the mic, the sermon on the mic.
Heidi, I'm so proud of you. You have been kind, honest, open, heartfelt. Live your life with joy and peace, and fly, fly, fly. Connect the dots and know that you are loved.
Short and sweet. Perfect advice. Heidi, what's the number one best way that our audience who have been listening to today can connect with you?
Through any of our social channels or our website. The website is Krupp Communications. Communications is spelled with a K. You could follow me on Twitter, Heidi Krupp, or you could follow me on Facebook, Heidi Krupp-Lisiten. Would love to hear from you. Anybody that's looking for a job, would love to get your resumes and hear the kind of things that you're looking for. If publicity and journalism and news and content inspires you and you're looking for an elevated living, I would love that. Any companies or brands that are looking to take themselves to the next level or to launch, we'd love to be here to help you.
Great stuff. We'll have all the links on the show notes to make it as easy as possible to connect with you. Heidi, thank you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots. And please come back again when you've got more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up the dots and connecting our past is the best way to build our futures. Heidi Krupp, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Heidi Krupp. Now, the call was dipping in and out. Hopefully that didn't sound too bad on the show, but I liked her. I really did like her. I thought she was just really positive, really enthusiastic, doing things for the right thing. And, I don't feel that with all guests. I really don't. But with her, I felt extremely connected to her and her way of operating and building a business. And I think that is right. You've got to think about it as an individual and not as a business. You've got to think about how you make a difference to the individual, how you connect, how you build rapport. That is an absolute goldmine in business. So many people just look at it as the bank balance, but it's not. It's about individual hearts, individual personalities, and how you can make a difference to them. Make enough difference to enough people, and then your bank balance will take care of itself anyway. Thank you so much for listening to Join Up Dots, as always. Really loving doing these shows, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers. See ya. Bye-bye.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice that every successful entrepreneur practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.